1. Listen to understand, not to react. When was the last time you truly listened? Not just hearing words, but absorbing the full message someone is trying to share. In today's fast-paced world, where everyone seems to be rushing from one thing to the next, listening has become one of the most undervalued skills. More often than not, you might find yourself mentally preparing your response or defense while another person is still speaking. But real listening goes far beyond that. It's about setting aside your judgments, opinions, and the need to react instantly. Instead, focus deeply on the words, tone, and body language of the speaker, reflecting back what you hear, like saying, "It sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed," or "I can see why that situation would be frustrating," can open a bridge of understanding. The practice of listening to understand, not to react, is a powerful tool for building trust and empathy. Imagine the profound difference in your relationships when people feel genuinely heard. Over time, you'll notice how this skill transforms your interactions, turning potentially tense conversations into opportunities for mutual understanding and growth. Being fully present requires patience and a shift in mindset, but the rewards are worth it. Not only does it deepen your connections with others, but it also improves your own self-awareness and capacity for empathy. Start small by pausing before you respond and really focusing on the speaker's words and emotions. The more you practice, the more natural and rewarding it becomes, leading to more meaningful and harmonious relationships. 2. Strive for mutual wins, not just victory. Do you approach conflicts and negotiations as competitions to be won, or as opportunities for mutual success? In a world that often pits individuals against each other, seeking mutual wins can feel counterintuitive at first. However, when you shift your perspective from winning at any cost to collaborating for shared success, you open doors to solutions neither party could have reached alone. This doesn't mean you compromise your values or settle for less, but rather that you explore the deeper needs and motivations driving everyone's position. Start by asking questions like, "What is really important to you in this situation?" And "How can we both get what we need?" Such questions turn adversarial stances into co-creative dialogues. You'll find that by looking for complementary solutions, trust is built, and long-term relationships are strengthened. It transforms every negotiation and conflict into a problem-solving exercise that values patience and creativity over confrontation. For example, instead of focusing solely on salary negotiations, consider proposing flexible working hours or professional development opportunities that serve both parties. When you strive for mutual benefit, you create a culture where success is not a finite resource but a shared achievement. Over time, this approach fosters collaboration, deepens relationships, and leads to sustainable success, showing that the best victories are those that everyone shares. 3. Celebrate hard work over end results. Have you ever reflected on the countless small efforts that went into a single achievement? It's tempting to focus solely on outcomes, the promotion, the completed project, or the final sale. But true growth lies in the consistent hard work and resilience displayed along the way. Every late night spent problem-solving, every creative attempt to tackle a challenge, every courageous decision to try something new builds your capacity for success. When you shift your focus from results to effort, you nurture intrinsic motivation and resilience. This means appreciating your own perseverance and that of others, regardless of the outcome. Recognizing effort encourages learning and growth, rather than promoting fear of failure. Have you noticed how much more motivated you feel when someone acknowledges the persistence you put in rather than just the outcome? Simple acknowledgments like, "I appreciate how you stayed committed despite the obstacles," can make a huge difference. This mindset fosters a culture of innovation where people are not afraid to take risks or make mistakes because they know effort is valued over perfection. It also helps you develop patience and long-term vision, understanding that meaningful success is a journey, not a quick fix. By celebrating effort, you cultivate personal growth, stronger relationships, and an enduring sense of purpose. 4. Take responsibility first in disputes. When a conflict arises, what is your first instinct? Do you defend yourself or look to assign blame? Imagine instead choosing the path of taking responsibility first. This doesn't mean accepting full fault, but it means having the courage and maturity to honestly reflect on your part in the situation. Starting a difficult conversation with, "I realize I should have communicated more clearly," rather than pointing fingers can completely shift the tone of the interaction. This approach diffuses defensiveness and encourages a more open and constructive dialogue. By owning your specific behaviors, such as forgetting to follow up or miscommunicating expectations, you focus the conversation on solutions rather than on blame. This leads to better outcomes and fosters mutual understanding. When you take responsibility first, you model accountability and emotional intelligence. It shows you are secure enough to admit mistakes without diminishing your worth, and others often reciprocate by reflecting on their own role. Over time, this practice builds trust and creates a safe environment where everyone feels valued and heard. It turns conflicts from destructive exchanges into opportunities for growth, learning, and strengthening relationships. By leading with accountability, you transform how you handle disputes, encouraging collaborative resolution and personal development. 5. Reflect feelings before offering solutions. When someone comes to you with a problem, what's your natural response? Do you immediately offer advice or jump to problem-solving mode? The reality is, people often need their emotions acknowledged before they are ready to hear solutions. Reflecting feelings means pausing to recognize and validate what the other person is experiencing. You might say, "That sounds really overwhelming," or, "I can see why you're frustrated by that situation." Doing this shows you're present and genuinely care about their feelings, not just the problem itself. Think back to a time when you shared your struggles with someone, only to have them immediately suggest fixes without acknowledging how you felt. Chances are you didn't feel understood. On the other hand, when someone first validates your emotions, you feel seen and more open to dialogue. This practice doesn't delay solutions. It enhances the quality and effectiveness of the solutions you both arrive at. By reflecting feelings first, you build deeper emotional connections and foster mutual understanding. Over time, this approach helps you slow down and fully grasp the human side of every challenge. It promotes empathy, strengthens relationships, and leads to more thoughtful, collaborative problem-solving that addresses both emotional and practical dimensions. 6. Keep humor fresh and timely. Do you often use humor to lighten the mood, or does it sometimes fall flat? When applied thoughtfully, humor is like the perfect seasoning. It enhances life's experiences without overpowering them. Fresh, timely humor demonstrates that you are fully present and engaged in the moment. It's about recognizing the quirky, ironic, or unexpected aspects of everyday life and sharing them with others in a way that builds connection. Instead of relying on stale or recycled jokes, you develop an eye for the amusing details unique to the current situation. Knowing when and how to introduce humor requires sensitivity and emotional intelligence. Timing is key. For example, cracking a joke during a tense business meeting can either ease tension or backfire, depending on your understanding of the atmosphere. The best humor emerges naturally when you pay attention to the people around you and the flow of the moment. It helps transform stress into shared laughter, making challenging situations easier to navigate. You'll find that as you make humor a thoughtful habit, it becomes a tool for perspective, creativity, and connection. It helps you and others laugh at life's absurdities, fostering joy and resilience in everyday interactions. 7. Be fully engaged in the moment. In our constantly connected world, how often do you find yourself multitasking during important conversations or while completing tasks? Being fully engaged means consciously setting aside distractions, both external, like your phone, and internal, like a running to-do list, and giving your complete attention to the present moment. Imagine the difference in your relationships when you truly listen without glancing at your screen, or the satisfaction of immersing yourself in a task without feeling rushed. Small steps make a big impact. For instance, taking 3 deep breaths before entering a room helps ground you in the present. Making eye contact during conversations reinforces connection and presence. Being present doesn't just enhance your interactions. It sharpens your awareness, reduces stress, and improves your decision-making. When you focus on the here and now, you begin to notice details you might have missed otherwise, from a colleague's subtle expression to the quiet beauty of a sunset. Presence turns ordinary moments into opportunities for deeper understanding and richer experiences. Over time, practicing engagement fosters mindfulness, making each interaction and activity more meaningful and satisfying. It's not about perfection. It's about intentionality in connecting with life as it unfolds. 8. Share credit, shoulder blame. When was the last time you celebrated someone else's contribution to a shared success? And when something went wrong, did you step up and acknowledge your part first? True leadership is not about hogging the spotlight, but about recognizing the efforts of others while owning your share of mistakes. Sharing credit demonstrates humility and gratitude, strengthening trust and loyalty in your relationships. Instead of saying, "I did this," try acknowledging the role others played. This success wouldn't have been possible without their dedication. This simple shift fosters a collaborative environment where everyone feels valued. Likewise, shouldering blame isn't about taking full responsibility for everything that goes wrong, but about owning your specific actions. Statements like, "I should have communicated my expectations more clearly," rather than blaming others, create a culture of psychological safety. People are more willing to innovate and take risks when they know mistakes won't result in punishment but are seen as learning opportunities. This practice turns challenges into moments of collective growth, promoting accountability and mutual respect. Over time, you'll notice how this approach improves team dynamics and deepens personal and professional relationships, creating an atmosphere where collaboration and trust flourish. 9. Show kindness with deeds, not only words. It's easy to say, "I care about you," but how often do you back that sentiment with action? True kindness reveals itself in tangible, thoughtful deeds. It might be as simple as bringing a colleague a cup of coffee during a stressful day, helping a neighbor carry heavy groceries, or remembering important details about someone's life and following up on them. These small but consistent acts of service go a long way in showing that your kindness is genuine and not just a fleeting sentiment. Have you ever noticed how meaningful a simple gesture becomes when someone does something without being asked? It demonstrates a real, ongoing commitment to caring for others. Over time, these acts not only strengthen your relationships but also create a positive ripple effect, inspiring others to act kindly as well. You don't need grand gestures. Rather, consistency and thoughtfulness are key. Whether it's offering a listening ear, helping with a task, or simply being reliable and present, these actions show that kindness is a core part of who you are. As you practice kindness in action, you'll notice how it enhances not only the lives of those around you but your own sense of purpose and fulfillment. 10. Make rest part of your plan. How often do you treat rest as a luxury to be enjoyed after all tasks are completed, rather than a necessary part of your life plan? Just like athletes schedule rest to prevent burnout and improve performance, you need to intentionally build rest into your daily routine to sustain well-being. Rest is not the absence of productivity. It's a vital component that recharges your mental, physical, and emotional resources. It can take many forms: quality sleep, quiet time for reflection, hobbies that bring you joy, or simply moments of doing nothing at all. The key is intentionality. Have you ever experienced how much more productive and focused you feel after a planned break, rather than pushing through exhaustion? When you treat rest as a non-negotiable part of your schedule, you prevent burnout, improve decision-making, and maintain perspective on what truly matters. Moreover, modeling healthy boundaries shows others, your colleagues, family, and friends, that rest is essential, not a weakness. Scheduling regular rest helps you show up more fully for the people and activities you care about. Over time, this practice becomes a source of resilience and clarity, giving you the energy to tackle challenges and enjoy life more fully. 11. Recognize and speak to others' strengths. When was the last time you paused to truly observe the people around you? Not just their actions, but their unique talents and positive qualities. In our busy, goal-driven lives, it's all too easy to focus on what's going wrong or what needs to be fixed, rather than what's already working well. Yet, recognizing and verbalizing other strengths is one of the most powerful ways to build meaningful connections. Think about your colleagues at work. Maybe there's someone whose creative solutions often cut through complex problems when others are stuck in the weeds. Instead of silently appreciating their skill, imagine telling them, "Your ability to find a solution when others are lost is remarkable. Have you noticed how a simple acknowledgement can brighten someone's day, fuel their motivation, and deepen your relationship? It doesn't have to be grand or public. A quiet, "I admire your patience in handling that difficult customer," or "You have an amazing way of seeing the bigger picture," can be a lifeline of positivity. Speaking to strengths doesn't just help others feel valued, it shifts your own mindset. You begin to notice the good more than the gaps. Next time you're interacting with someone, try focusing first on what they do well. Your words become bridges, not walls. 12. Offer the last piece, truly mean it. How often do you find yourself in situations where the last piece of something, be it a slice of cake, a parking spot, or a chair at a gathering, remains unclaimed, quietly waiting? The decision to offer that last piece, especially without hesitation, reflects more than generosity. It speaks of your awareness of shared humanity. Offering that final slice or the last seat might seem trivial, but in that small gesture lies profound meaning. It communicates that you value others' presence as much as your own enjoyment. Imagine sitting with friends over a meal. As the last piece of dessert sits untouched, your choice to offer it sincerely, with a smile and without reservation, conveys care and inclusiveness. You don't offer it because you feel obligated, but because you want to share a moment of joy. It becomes a reflection of your empathy, a way to say, "You matter just as much as I do," and the impact is often deeper than you realize. The person who accepts the last piece feels seen, valued, and connected. Over time, these small but thoughtful acts weave a fabric of kindness in your relationships, making you both a giver and a receiver of goodwill. 13. Laugh at yourself, diffuse embarrassment. Have you ever found yourself in an awkward situation and felt the urge to hide or shrink away? Perhaps you tripped in front of a crowd or misspoke during an important presentation. The instinct might be to feel embarrassed or even defensive, but what if you flipped the script? Laughing at yourself doesn't mean dismissing the moment or pretending it wasn't significant. It's about embracing your human imperfections with grace and humor. Picture yourself stumbling over words or dropping a cup of coffee in a social setting. Instead of cringing or apologizing profusely, you could smile and say, "Well, I guess gravity wins again." This simple choice has a dual benefit. First, it diffuses the tension in the room, allowing others to relax and chuckle along. Second, it demonstrates self-awareness and confidence, signaling that you're comfortable in your own skin. People are drawn to those who can acknowledge their foibles with lightheartedness rather than shame. When you laugh at yourself, you teach others to do the same, creating an atmosphere where mistakes don't carry judgment but offer opportunities for shared humanity and connection. Next time you face an embarrassing slip, try smiling and joining in the humor. It's a powerful tool that fosters resilience and good relationships. 14. Wait for the right moment to speak the truth. Have you ever felt the urge to speak your mind immediately, only to regret it later? Speaking the truth is powerful, but timing is everything. Imagine you notice a colleague making a mistake during a meeting. Your first instinct might be to correct them on the spot. But have you considered whether that moment is truly the right one? Sometimes the best way to ensure your words are heard, and not met with defensiveness, is to wait for a calmer, more private opportunity. Truth shared at the wrong moment can feel like a public attack, whereas truth delivered with care and thoughtfulness fosters understanding and growth. Think of it like planting a seed. If you drop it in rocky soil, it won't take root. But if you choose a fertile moment, your words can nurture change and clarity. Waiting doesn't mean holding back what's important. It means respecting the emotional atmosphere and readiness of the other person. The next time you feel compelled to speak a difficult truth, pause. Ask yourself, is this moment right for this message? This small practice not only improves how your truth is received, but also strengthens your relationships. You'll find that truth, when timed well, builds trust rather than tearing it down. 15. Give full attention as the real gift. Have you ever noticed how rare it is to be given someone's full, undivided attention? In a world overflowing with distractions, giving someone your complete presence has become one of the most precious gifts you can offer. Imagine sitting across from a friend, not scrolling through your phone or letting your mind wander, but genuinely listening to their words, emotions, and pauses. This kind of attention communicates far more than any grand gesture. It says, "You matter to me right now." How often do you find yourself half listening, nodding while mentally planning your next task? Shifting to full engagement requires deliberate effort. You can start by making eye contact, asking thoughtful follow-up questions, and reflecting what you've heard. For example, saying, "It sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed by everything right now," shows that you're tuned into both the words and the emotions. This simple yet profound practice doesn't just benefit the person you're interacting with. It enriches your own experience of connection. Presence allows you to see the depth of others' experiences, appreciate the nuances of their feelings, and respond in a way that's genuinely meaningful. Next time you're in conversation, try to be fully present. It's one of the most powerful ways to show care and build lasting bonds. 16. Compliment unexpectedly and authentically. When was the last time you gave someone a compliment that wasn't expected? Genuine compliments, especially those offered spontaneously and from the heart, can light up someone's day in ways you might not even realize. It's easy to fall into the habit of offering polite, generic remarks like "nice job," but truly noticing something unique about a person and expressing it authentically creates a deeper connection. Think about your coworkers, friends, or family. Maybe you admire the way your friend listens patiently, or perhaps your colleague consistently brings creative ideas to the table. Next time you see it, don't wait for a special occasion or the right moment. Say, "I really appreciate how thoughtful you are when you help others figure things out," or "Your patience in stressful situations is something I really look up to." These kinds of specific, heartfelt compliments don't just make the other person feel seen, they encourage them to continue being their best self. Have you noticed how receiving a genuine compliment makes you feel? It brightens your mood and motivates you to pass on kindness. When you compliment others in unexpected moments, you create ripples of positivity. It turns ordinary interactions into meaningful ones and helps build a culture of appreciation and warmth around you. 17. Reserve judgments for later. Have you ever found yourself forming a quick opinion about someone based on a single interaction or a fleeting impression? It's human nature to judge, but what if you held back and gave people the benefit of the doubt instead? Reserving judgment allows you to observe more deeply, to understand context, and to appreciate complexity. Imagine meeting someone who seems brusque or unfriendly. Instead of concluding they are rude, consider what they might be dealing with: stress, a bad day, or personal challenges. By delaying your judgment, you open the door to understanding rather than misinterpretation. This practice doesn't mean ignoring your instincts. It's about giving yourself the space to gather more information. When you allow time before judging, you often discover a richer story that reveals strengths and struggles you hadn't seen at first glance. It makes your interactions more compassionate and your relationships deeper. Next time you feel quick to judge, pause, ask questions, and observe. You'll find your perspective widening and your empathy growing. 18. Share simple joys generously. When was the last time you shared something small that made you smile? A beautiful sunset, a favorite song, or a funny moment you experienced? Simple joys are often overlooked in the rush of life, but sharing them can create ripple effects of happiness. Picture sending a photo of a stunning sunrise to a friend, or telling a coworker about a light-hearted anecdote that brightened your day. These moments of shared joy don't need to be monumental. In fact, their power lies in their simplicity. They remind you and others that happiness doesn't always come from big achievements or major events, but from the small, everyday experiences that connect us. When you make a habit of sharing joy, whether it's a compliment, a humorous observation, or a beautiful image, you create a network of positivity. People start to associate you with lightness, warmth, and presence. It's like planting seeds of happiness that grow in unexpected ways. The next time something small makes you smile, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. It's one of the simplest ways to spread kindness and brighten someone's day. 19. Praise publicly, critique privately. Have you noticed how public recognition can lift someone's spirits and boost their confidence? Praising publicly not only celebrates individual effort but inspires others around you. Imagine a team meeting where you highlight a colleague's creative solution or a friend's dedication to a group project. The public acknowledgement signals that you see and value their contribution, encouraging them to continue shining. On the flip side, private critique is an art of thoughtful communication. When something needs improvement, addressing it in private preserves dignity and promotes constructive dialogue. Picture giving feedback like, "I appreciate your effort on this, and I think there's a way we could make it even stronger. Would you be open to discussing it further?" This approach avoids embarrassment and invites collaboration, rather than defensiveness. Balancing public praise with private critique creates an environment where people feel valued and supported. It fosters growth without fear, allowing relationships to flourish with mutual respect and understanding. 20. Avoid teasing, choose gentleness. When was the last time you found yourself teasing someone, perhaps thinking it was lighthearted fun? Teasing can feel playful in the moment, but it often carries an unintended sting. Even if your intention isn't to hurt, the person on the receiving end may feel belittled or insecure. Imagine instead choosing gentleness, offering words and actions that uplift rather than poke fun. Have you noticed how kindness opens more doors than sarcasm or teasing? Gentle words encourage trust and invite openness, while teasing can cause walls to rise. For example, rather than making a joke at a colleague's expense, you might highlight something positive about them with warmth and sincerity. "Your attention to detail really saved us on that last project," is a simple but effective alternative. Gentleness doesn't mean being soft or avoiding honesty. It means delivering truth with care, empathy, and respect. By choosing to be gentle, you not only foster better relationships, but also set an example of kindness that others are inspired to follow. The next time you feel tempted to tease, pause and ask yourself, "Could I say this more kindly?" The answer will often guide you toward connection instead of disconnection. 21. Don't keep what isn't rightfully yours. Have you ever found yourself holding on to something that doesn't belong to you? Perhaps an object, an idea, or even a credit for work you didn't do. Keeping what isn't rightfully yours can create unseen tension, guilt, or imbalance. Imagine you discover a misplaced wallet or someone's personal item left behind. The choice to return it speaks volumes about your integrity. It's not just about obeying rules. It's about aligning your actions with your values. Similarly, giving credit where it's due is equally important. Have you noticed how easy it is to subtly claim responsibility for a shared achievement? True character shows when you recognize and acknowledge the contributions of others. "I couldn't have done this without your insight" goes much further than quietly taking credit. By returning what doesn't belong to you, whether tangible or intangible, you create an atmosphere of trust, fairness, and authenticity. It reminds both you and others that respect for boundaries is a cornerstone of meaningful relationships. Next time you're tempted to hold onto something not meant for you, choose release over possession. The freedom you gain is far richer than any item or accolade. 22. Make apologies short and heartfelt. Have you ever received an apology so long it felt like an explanation instead of an acknowledgement? True apologies don't need grand speeches. They need honesty and heart. A short, sincere apology communicates accountability without diluting the message. Imagine a friend saying, "I'm sorry for being late. I should have managed my time better. Thank you for waiting." Doesn't that feel clean and respectful? Compare that to a lengthy justification about traffic, schedules, or excuses. It feels less genuine, doesn't it? A heartfelt apology focuses on the other person's experience, not your defense. It says, "I recognize the impact of my actions, and I value our relationship enough to own it." Have you noticed how over-explaining often shifts the attention back to yourself instead of the person you hurt? Brevity keeps the apology centered where it should be. Being short doesn't mean being cold. Tone, eye contact, and intention carry warmth. Adding a small acknowledgement of the other person's feelings, "I know that upset you," often restores trust faster than any explanation could. The next time you make a mistake, resist the urge to dress it up. Keep it simple, keep it genuine. Say you're sorry, acknowledge the impact, and move forward. A short, heartfelt apology leaves space for healing and shows true maturity. 23. Create positive some scenarios. Have you ever approached a situation thinking that for you to win, someone else must lose? It's a common mindset, especially in competitive environments, but it often limits creativity and connection. Imagine instead focusing on creating positive some scenarios where everyone benefits. Have you noticed how collaboration tends to yield richer, more sustainable outcomes than zero-sum competition? For example, in a workplace project, rather than hoarding ideas or guarding credit, you could actively share your knowledge and resources with your team. This mindset fosters an atmosphere where everyone's strengths are amplified and mutual success becomes the goal. Picture a negotiation where both parties focus on underlying needs instead of fixed positions. Instead of, "I need this much or I walk away," the conversation might shift to, "How can we meet both our needs?" Suddenly, solutions emerge that wouldn't have been apparent in a combative approach. Creating positive some scenarios requires empathy, patience, and a shift from scarcity to abundance thinking. It's about believing there's enough success, recognition, and opportunity for everyone. The next time you find yourself in a competitive mindset, pause and ask, "How can we both win here?" That simple shift opens up a world of creative and constructive possibilities. 24. Give people time to settle in. Have you ever been in a new environment and felt overwhelmed by the expectation to immediately perform or contribute? Whether it's a new job, a social group, or an unfamiliar situation, everyone benefits from a little time to settle in. Imagine starting a new role where colleagues expect you to immediately know the ropes. The pressure to deliver right away can cloud your confidence and slow your growth. Instead, what if people offered you space to observe, learn, and gradually engage? Giving others time to settle in is an act of patience and kindness. It communicates that you understand growth and adjustment are processes, not instantaneous events. Picture inviting a new team member to shadow meetings before asking them to lead one, or simply giving a new friend the space to share at their own pace in a group conversation. This creates a low-pressure environment where people feel safe to explore, learn, and connect authentically. When you extend patience and time to others, you foster inclusion and deeper understanding. You build a culture where learning and growth are valued over instant results. Next time you meet someone new, try to focus on creating a welcoming space. It's a simple gesture that can make a profound difference. 25. Value how you say goodbye. Have you ever considered the power behind your parting words or gestures? Saying goodbye is more than a formality. It's an opportunity to leave a positive impression and reinforce connection. Imagine ending a phone call, a meeting, or a visit with genuine warmth rather than a rushed bye. A thoughtful goodbye might sound like, "It was really great talking with you today. Let's catch up again soon." Or, "Take care, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything." These small expressions convey care and appreciation. Have you noticed how a meaningful farewell can soften transitions, making them feel less like an end and more like a temporary pause in an ongoing relationship? Whether it's a simple wave, a heartfelt hug, or a well-timed smile, these gestures hold lasting impact. On the other hand, a hurried or indifferent goodbye can leave the other person feeling unimportant or dismissed. Valuing your goodbyes isn't about being theatrical. It's about being sincere. It's a chance to express gratitude, acknowledge shared time, and leave the door open for future connection. The next time you part ways with someone, make your farewell count. It's a small practice that strengthens bonds and spreads kindness. 26. Mark every minor achievement. When was the last time you celebrated a small win? Perhaps finishing a tough email, mastering a new recipe, or finally organizing your desk. Too often, we reserve celebration for major milestones, forgetting that life is built from countless small achievements. Recognizing these minor successes isn't about indulging in self-congratulation. It's about acknowledging your steady progress and maintaining motivation. Imagine you're learning a new skill and feel overwhelmed by the long road ahead. By marking small achievements, like successfully completing a practice task or understanding a tricky concept, you create positive momentum. It's like building a staircase one step at a time. Each small success reinforces your belief in your ability to progress, making the next challenge feel more manageable. Have you noticed how this approach shifts your focus from frustration to empowerment? It turns overwhelming goals into manageable tasks and fosters a sense of accomplishment. Celebrating small victories also strengthens your resilience, reminding you that every step forward counts. Next time you achieve something, no matter how minor it seems, take a moment to recognize it. A simple, "I did it," or jotting it down can transform your perspective and fuel continued growth. Understand. 27. Let people speak without interrupting. Have you ever felt frustrated when someone cuts you off mid-sentence? Now, consider how often you might do the same to others, perhaps unintentionally. Allowing people to speak without interruption is a powerful form of respect and presence. It demonstrates that you value their thoughts and are genuinely interested in what they have to say. Imagine sitting in a conversation where each person listens fully before responding. How different does the atmosphere feel compared to a rapid-fire exchange of half-finished ideas? When you listen without interrupting, you create a space where people feel safe to express themselves fully. It's not just about waiting your turn. It's about truly engaging with the other person's perspective. Have you noticed how giving someone the space to finish their thought often leads to more meaningful dialogue and deeper understanding? Interrupting can unintentionally signal impatience or disregard, while listening attentively fosters connection and trust. Next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to listen completely before responding. You'll find that this small shift enhances your relationships, nurtures empathy, and promotes thoughtful communication. 28. Send a quick update if you're running late. Have you ever been left waiting, wondering if someone is on their way or if they've forgotten the meeting? Life is unpredictable and delays happen. However, sending a quick update when you're running late is a simple yet profound way to show respect for others' time. Imagine you're meeting a friend for coffee or a colleague for an important discussion, and unforeseen traffic holds you up. A message like, "Running about 10 minutes late, see you soon," demonstrates consideration and keeps the other person informed. It prevents unnecessary worry and shows that you value their schedule as much as your own. Have you noticed how receiving such a message creates understanding and reduces tension, compared to silence that leaves others guessing? This small habit models responsibility and courtesy, fostering smoother interactions and mutual respect. It also helps you manage your own time more mindfully, as you're more likely to plan realistically when you commit to communicating delays. The next time life throws you a curveball, don't hesitate to send that quick message. It's a simple gesture that speaks volumes about your reliability and kindness. 29. Know when you've agreed too much. Have you ever said, "yes," so many times that you later wondered how you'd manage it all? It often starts innocently. You agree to help a colleague, attend a gathering, or take on an extra project. Each yes feels small, but together they become heavy. Knowing when you've agreed too much isn't about refusing kindness or responsibility. It's about recognizing your own limits and honoring them before resentment builds. Think about a time when you stretched yourself thin because you didn't want to disappoint others. How did it feel? Probably stressful, maybe even exhausting. The truth is, constantly. Agreeing often comes from wanting to be liked or avoiding conflict. But have you noticed how it sometimes backfires? Instead of gratitude, your overcommitment can lead to lower quality effort, hidden frustration, and even strained relationships. The strength lies in learning to pause. Before saying yes, ask yourself, do I have the time and energy for this? Will agreeing compromise something more important? Saying no with honesty is not selfish. It's an act of respect for both yourself and the other person. Imagine telling a friend, "I'd love to help, but I'm at my limit right now. Can we find another way?" Doesn't that sound more sustainable than silently struggling? The next time a request comes your way, check in with yourself first. If the answer would stretch you too far, give yourself permission to decline gracefully. By doing so, you not only protect your well-being but also ensure that when you do agree, your yes carries sincerity, energy, and genuine commitment. 30. Enjoy laughter without ridicule. Have you ever noticed how different laughter feels when it includes everyone compared to when it's at someone's expense? Genuine humor brings people together, while ridicule creates distance. Enjoying laughter without ridicule means choosing joy that uplifts rather than harms. It's about finding delight in wit, shared moments, or life's quirks, not in someone else's embarrassment. Think about a group sharing lighthearted jokes or a funny story everyone can relate to. The laughter feels warm and connecting, doesn't it? Now picture someone being singled out for a mistake or a flaw, and the laughter turning sharp. That kind of humor cuts rather than heals. Have you noticed how easy it is to slip into mocking humor, especially in groups? It can bond some people but leaves others excluded. Inclusive laughter is a choice. It means noticing the difference between teasing that feels playful and words that sting. It means asking yourself, if I were in their shoes, would I still find this funny? Humor doesn't lose its sparkle when it's kind. It often becomes sharper, more creative, and more memorable. The next time you're about to share a joke or laugh at a moment, pause and check its direction. Is it lifting people or pushing someone down? By choosing humor without ridicule, you help create spaces where laughter feels safe, joyful, and shared. And those are the kinds of moments people carry with them long after the joke fades. 31. Offer a seat. Share comfort. Have you ever been in a crowded place, perhaps a waiting room, a bus stop, or a busy cafe, and seen someone standing while you had a seat? Offering your seat is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to show care. It's not just about the physical act. It's about the message it sends. You matter. Imagine seeing an elderly person, a pregnant woman, or someone clearly fatigued. Offering your seat doesn't require grand gestures. Just a quiet shift of position or a gentle smile. Have you noticed how this small act can brighten someone's day far more than words? It communicates attentiveness, respect, and empathy. In a broader sense, sharing comfort can also mean offering emotional support. Listening without judgment, providing reassurance, or simply being present when someone needs a moment of rest. Comfort doesn't always need to be dramatic. It's often the small, consistent actions that ripple into meaningful care. Next time you're in a crowded space or sense someone struggling, offer your seat, your presence, or your support without hesitation. These small acts of kindness accumulate into a life filled with shared warmth and genuine connection. 32. Accept that absence teaches us. Have you ever gone through a period of separation from a friend, a loved one, or a familiar place, and felt a surprising shift in perspective? Absence, though often painful, has a way of teaching us what truly matters. Imagine being away from someone you care about. The distance forces reflection. You realize how much you valued their presence, their quirks, or the small, everyday interactions that once seemed ordinary. Have you noticed how time apart deepens appreciation and often softens frustrations? Absence strips away distraction and highlights the essential qualities we might have overlooked in the presence of abundance. It's a gentle reminder that people, experiences, and moments are precious precisely because they are not permanent. In learning to accept absence, you develop patience, gratitude, and a deeper emotional resilience. Instead of focusing solely on the discomfort of separation, try to reflect on what absence is teaching you about connection, presence, and love. The next time you face distance or loss, embrace it as a teacher rather than a punishment. It holds lessons about impermanence, value, and the depth of human connection. 33. Cherish well-timed puns. Have you ever been caught off guard by a clever pun at just the right moment? A lighthearted play on words that made you chuckle and eased the atmosphere? Puns, when used thoughtfully and in good spirit, are delightful ways to bring humor into everyday conversations. Imagine a tense meeting where someone breaks the ice with a perfectly timed pun, allowing everyone to relax for a moment. It's not about being silly for the sake of it. It's about finding joy in language and observation. Have you noticed how a well-placed pun creates connection through shared laughter and cleverness? It reflects your attentiveness to context, your creativity, and your desire to bring a little lightness into life's seriousness. Puns don't have to be groan-worthy cliches. They can be sharp, playful, and even poignant, reflecting a joyful appreciation of words. Next time you feel a pun bubbling up, pause and consider if the moment calls for it. A well-timed pun can shift the mood, ease tension, and remind everyone that life's complexity includes moments of playful simplicity. 34. Recognize and speak to others' strengths. Have you ever paused to genuinely notice what makes someone around you exceptional? It's easy to get caught up in pointing out flaws or focusing solely on tasks and outcomes. But true connection and encouragement arise when you recognize and speak to others' strengths. Imagine a colleague who always brings creative ideas to a project, or a friend who listens deeply when you need to talk. Acknowledging these qualities doesn't have to be reserved for formal moments like awards or performance reviews. It can be as simple as saying, "I really admire how you always stay calm under pressure," or "Your creativity brings fresh perspectives that we wouldn't have otherwise." Have you noticed how such specific, heartfelt recognition uplifts others and strengthens your relationship? It's a subtle yet powerful way of showing that you see and appreciate the unique qualities in those around you. When you focus on strengths, you help others see their own value more clearly. Instead of dwelling on what needs improvement, you highlight what's already remarkable. This approach creates a positive cycle of motivation and self-worth. Next time you interact with someone, take a moment to reflect on their strengths and let them know. It's a simple habit that transforms ordinary interactions into sources of encouragement, growth, and connection. 35. Offer the last piece, truly mean it. Have you ever found yourself hesitating when the last piece of dessert was on the plate, unsure whether to take it or offer it to someone else? Offering the last piece of something isn't merely an act of generosity. It's a gesture that reflects genuine kindness and consideration. Imagine sharing a meal with friends, where one person quietly steps back and says, "Why don't you have the last piece?" It's not a forced politeness, but a sincere expression of care. Have you noticed how such small acts can speak volumes? Offering the last piece without hesitation or expectation of reciprocation demonstrates that you value others' happiness as much as your own. It's not about grand sacrifices or performative gestures. It's about recognizing the opportunity to show thoughtfulness in everyday moments. Whether it's giving up the last piece of cake, the prime seat in a crowded room, or your time when someone else needs it more, these small acts accumulate into a culture of kindness. They remind us that life is not about hoarding or competition, but about sharing and generosity. Next time you're in a situation where the last piece is up for grabs, offer it wholeheartedly, not out of obligation, but because you genuinely want to. It creates a ripple of goodwill that resonates far beyond that small moment. 36. Laugh at yourself, defuse embarrassment. Have you ever tripped over your words in a meeting, spilled coffee in front of others, or mispronounced something important? Embarrassing moments are inevitable, but how you handle them can make all the difference. Laughing at yourself is one of the most powerful ways to defuse tension and transform awkwardness into connection. Imagine you've accidentally called your boss by the wrong name. Instead of freezing in panic or trying to hide it, a simple lighthearted comment like, "Well, that was a brain freeze," shows humility and self-awareness. Have you noticed how self-directed humor makes you more relatable and approachable? It demonstrates confidence and the ability to not take yourself too seriously. This doesn't mean making fun of your deeper insecurities, but acknowledging small mishaps with grace and humor. By laughing at yourself, you signal to others that mistakes are part of life, not reasons for shame. It invites others to let go of their own fear of embarrassment and fosters an atmosphere of understanding and camaraderie. The next time you face a small blunder, try smiling, making a gentle joke, or simply acknowledging it with honesty. You'll find that the moment loses its power to unsettle, and instead becomes an opportunity for shared laughter and connection. 37. Wait for the right moment to speak the truth. Have you ever felt the urge to speak a difficult truth right away, only to later wish you had waited for a better moment? Speaking the truth is valuable, but timing plays a crucial role in how it's received. Imagine being in a heated argument where emotions are running high. Blurt out the truth without consideration, and it might be met with defensiveness, anger, or misunderstanding. But if you take a breath and choose to wait for a calmer, more private moment, your words carry far greater impact. Have you noticed how thoughtful timing helps your message land with care and effectiveness? It's not about suppressing honesty but about delivering it in a way that invites understanding. For example, rather than interrupting someone to point out a flaw in their approach, waiting until they're more receptive, perhaps during a quiet one-on-one conversation, shows respect and insight. Waiting demonstrates that you value the relationship more than the need to be immediately right. It shifts your communication from reactionary to reflective. The next time you feel compelled to speak a difficult truth, pause and ask yourself, is this the right moment for this message? This mindful approach transforms conversations from conflict into connection, allowing your truth to foster growth, rather than defensiveness or hurt. 38. Give full attention as the real gift. Have you ever truly given someone your full, undivided attention? In our fast-paced, digitally distracted world, presence has become a rare and invaluable gift. Imagine sitting with a friend and not just hearing their words but fully listening, absorbing their tone, noticing their body language, and tuning into the emotions beneath their words. This kind of presence says, "You matter right now." It requires more than simply being in the same room. It demands setting aside your phone, letting go of your mental to-do list, and focusing completely on the person before you. Have you noticed how giving full attention makes others feel deeply seen and valued? It transforms conversations from superficial exchanges into meaningful connections. Instead of thinking about your next response, you immerse yourself in what's being shared. A simple practice like making eye contact, asking thoughtful follow-up questions, or pausing to reflect back what you've heard makes a profound difference. Being fully present enriches your relationships and your own experience of life. It allows you to appreciate the subtle details that you might otherwise miss. The next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to be completely present. It's one of the simplest yet most profound ways to show you care. 39. Assume people err rather than harm. Have you ever felt slighted by someone's words or actions and jumped to the conclusion that they intended to hurt you? It's a natural reaction to feel defensive when you perceive harm, but often mistakes are simply that errors, not malicious acts. Imagine a friend forgetting an important date or a coworker missing a deadline. The immediate reaction might be to think they don't care or that they're inconsiderate. But what if you approached the situation assuming they erred unintentionally? This shift in perspective doesn't let harmful behavior slide, but reframes the narrative to focus on understanding rather than blame. Have you noticed how assuming error rather than intent to harm fosters patience, reduces conflict, and opens the door to compassion? When you choose to believe that people make mistakes because they're human, not because they want to hurt you, you create a space for growth and reconciliation. This mindset encourages calm, rational responses instead of knee-jerk defensiveness. For instance, instead of reacting with anger to a thoughtless remark, you might calmly say, "I think that came out wrong. Here's how I understood it." This opens dialogue rather than escalating tension. Assuming error over harm cultivates empathy and strengthens relationships. It teaches you that people are more often struggling, distracted, or unaware than intentionally harmful. The next time you feel wronged, pause and ask yourself, is it possible they made a mistake rather than trying to hurt me? Approaching situations this way transforms frustration into understanding and strengthens your capacity for forgiveness. 40. Let others in, whether in traffic or life. Have you ever been stuck in a tight traffic jam, frustrated as everyone seemed determined to get ahead, rather than making room for each other? This simple scenario mirrors a larger life principle. Letting others in, whether on the road or in your personal life, is an act of kindness and wisdom. Imagine you're in a hurry, but you see another car trying to merge into your lane. Rather than holding your position stubbornly, you give way, allowing a smoother flow for everyone. This small gesture doesn't just prevent tension. It models patience and generosity. Similarly, in life, letting others in involves creating space for different perspectives, ideas, or emotions. It's about making room for someone else's presence without seeing it as a threat to your own. Have you noticed how relationships thrive when you allow people to express themselves, share their experiences, or simply be part of your journey? By letting others in, you acknowledge their right to occupy space alongside you, rather than competing for it. This doesn't mean relinquishing your boundaries, but choosing to share space with empathy and openness. Think of conversations where you patiently listen rather than dominate, or situations where you step aside to let someone else take the lead. These small acts of inclusion ripple outwards, making life's interactions smoother, richer, and more connected. The next time you feel tempted to block someone out, whether literally in traffic or figuratively in life, choose to let them in. It's one of the simplest yet most profound ways to practice generosity and connection. 41. Use your voice for nuance, not just text. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to misinterpret written messages? An email, a text, or a comment on social media, because tone, inflection, and subtle expression are missing? Text communication lacks the nuance of spoken words, which makes your voice a far more powerful tool than mere letters on a screen. Imagine having an important conversation where you can't see the other person's reaction, and your carefully typed words are read in an unintended tone. Have you experienced the frustration when your kindness is read as sarcasm, or your urgency as rudeness? Your voice carries much more than words. It carries empathy, warmth, and intention. The way you pause, emphasize, and modulate your tone communicates volumes about how you feel and what you mean. When you use your voice thoughtfully, you bring clarity and authenticity to your communication. For example, saying, "I'm really sorry to hear that," in a gentle, caring tone conveys far more empathy than simply typing those words. Have you noticed how your voice can soften conflict, make explanations clearer, or uplift someone simply by its tone? This doesn't mean abandoning written communication, but recognizing that voice is a richer medium when clarity and connection matter. Next time you need to convey something important, consider whether your tone can add clarity, kindness, and nuance. Speaking authentically and with intention turns simple communication into meaningful interaction. 42. Decline offers with grace and warmth. Have you ever been in a situation where someone offered you help, an invitation, or an opportunity, but you knew you couldn't accept? Declining can feel awkward or uncomfortable, but how you do it makes all the difference. Imagine being invited to a party when you're already overwhelmed, or asked to join a project when your plate is full. The key lies in responding with grace and warmth, rather than guilt or brusqueness. Have you noticed how a simple, thoughtful decline, "Thank you so much for thinking of me, but I won't be able to make it this time," feels far more respectful and genuine than a curt no? Graceful declination communicates appreciation for the offer and honesty about your own boundaries. It doesn't burn bridges or leave the other person feeling rejected. Instead, it reinforces mutual respect. Picture a colleague offering to collaborate on something that doesn't align with your current priorities. Responding with warmth and clarity, like, "I really appreciate the opportunity, but I'm focusing on a few critical projects right now," maintains the relationship and shows professional integrity. Declining with kindness doesn't weaken your stance. It strengthens your character. It reflects an understanding that saying no thoughtfully keeps your commitments manageable while honoring the effort behind the offer. The next time you need to decline, focus on expressing gratitude, honesty, and warmth. Turns a simple no into a gesture of care. 43. Step aside when others need space. Have you ever noticed moments when someone needed space, whether emotionally, physically, or mentally, but you continued to engage anyway, out of concern or habit? Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step aside. Imagine a friend who's upset, overwhelmed, or simply lost in thought. Instead of pressing for conversation or comfort, allowing them room to process their feelings demonstrates profound respect. Have you noticed how this contrasts with our instinct to fix or fill silence? By stepping aside, you acknowledge that not every situation calls for intervention. Space is not emptiness. It's a gift. It's the quiet understanding that sometimes people don't need advice or company, but rather the freedom to sort through their emotions alone. Consider a heated argument where you step back to prevent escalation, or a public gathering where you move aside to let someone find comfort away from the crowd. These small decisions show maturity, patience, and empathy. They communicate that you understand boundaries and emotional needs. Next time you sense someone needing space, resist the urge to step in immediately. Instead, offer your presence in a way that respects their need for solitude, knowing that real connection often flourishes when people are given room to breathe. 44. Reserve judgments for later. Have you ever caught yourself forming an opinion about someone within moments of meeting them? It's almost instinctive. Your mind wants to categorize to decide quickly whether you like them, trust them, or want to avoid them. But what if you pressed pause on that snap judgment? Reserving judgment for later is one of the most underrated skills you can practice, because it allows you to see the full picture before deciding. Imagine meeting a colleague who comes across as cold in your first interaction. Your immediate thought might be that they're unfriendly. Yet, as you get to know them, you might learn they were just preoccupied or shy in unfamiliar settings. By holding off judgment, you give yourself the opportunity to discover someone's real character rather than a fleeting impression. Have you noticed how much lighter conversations feel when you enter them with openness rather than assumptions? This practice applies not only to people but also to situations. A plan that initially looks like a failure might turn into a valuable lesson, or a decision you doubted might later prove wise. By delaying judgment, you allow experiences to unfold fully before stamping them with approval or disapproval. It doesn't mean ignoring your instincts, but it does mean allowing time for clarity and nuance. Next time you feel yourself jumping to conclusions, pause and remind yourself, the story is still being written. Give it the space to reveal itself. 45. Share simple joys generously. Have you ever noticed how sharing a small joy multiplies its effect? A laugh over a silly meme, the aroma of fresh coffee, or the excitement of finding a song you love. These moments may seem insignificant, but when you pass them on, they become gifts. Think of the last time someone shared a small delight with you. Didn't it brighten your day unexpectedly? Sharing simple joys generously doesn't mean you need grand gestures. It's about spreading moments of happiness in everyday life. Imagine walking into your office and complimenting someone on their new shirt, or sending a quick message to a friend about a sunset you just saw. These little offerings remind people that joy is not locked in extraordinary events but found in daily details. Have you noticed how contagious a smile can be? By letting others into your little moments of delight, you give them permission to appreciate their own. This habit also changes how you see the world. You start noticing more reasons to feel gratitude, because you're attuned to sharing them. Instead of holding joy privately, you let it ripple outward, and in doing so, you reinforce your own sense of abundance. The next time you experience something that makes you smile, ask yourself, who could I share this with? Chances are it will mean far more to them than you realize. 46. Praise publicly, critique privately. Have you ever been praised in front of others and felt your confidence soar? Public recognition carries a special weight. It validates your efforts and shows that your contributions are seen and valued. Now, flip the situation. Imagine being criticized in front of an audience. The sting of embarrassment often overshadows the actual feedback, leaving resentment instead of motivation. This is why the principle of praising publicly and critiquing privately is so powerful. By celebrating people in front of others, you elevate not just the individual but the entire environment, because everyone feels encouraged by the positive reinforcement. It's like sunshine. It spreads warmth beyond the one person being recognized. On the other hand, criticism delivered privately is like shade. It shields the individual from unnecessary exposure, allowing them to process feedback without shame. Have you noticed how differently people respond when feedback is given respectfully and in confidence? Public correction often sparks defensiveness, while private discussions encourage reflection. Practicing this principle requires awareness and restraint. You must resist the urge to set an example through criticism. Instead, set the example through public praise, making it clear that achievements are noticed and valued. The next time you have an opportunity, let your positive words be heard by many, and let your critiques be spoken in trust. That balance strengthens relationships, builds respect, and inspires growth. 47. Avoid teasing, choose gentleness. Have you ever made a playful comment that you thought was harmless, only to see the other person's smile falter? Teasing is tricky. It walks a thin line between humor and hurt. What might feel lighthearted to you can land heavily on someone else, especially if it touches an insecurity they carry quietly. Choosing gentleness over teasing isn't about suppressing humor. It's about making sure your words uplift rather than undermine. Imagine how much safer and warmer conversations feel when you don't have to guard against being the butt of a joke. Gentle humor, playful observations, light exaggerations, shared laughter over quirks, creates connection without sharp edges. Have you noticed how kindness in humor leaves everyone feeling included rather than singled out? Teasing, on the other hand, often relies on imbalance. One person laughs at the expense of another. Even if they laugh along, it can leave a lingering sting. By choosing gentleness, you communicate care and respect while still keeping the atmosphere light. Think of the last time someone made you laugh without targeting anyone. It felt effortless and pure, didn't it? Humor is one of the most powerful tools for connection, and when paired with gentleness, it builds trust rather than eroding it. The next time you feel the urge to tease, pause and ask yourself, will this make them feel smaller or lighter? Choose words that lift. 48. Don't keep what isn't rightfully yours. Have you ever borrowed something? A pen, a book, or even someone's time, and forgotten to return or acknowledge it? At first glance, it might seem trivial, but keeping what isn't rightfully yours erodes trust and integrity in ways that are often invisible. Imagine lending a book you love, only to never see it again. It leaves you feeling that your generosity was taken for granted. The principle here is simple but profound. Don't hold on to what belongs to others, whether it's an object, credit for work, or even an idea. Returning what isn't yours is an act of respect. It honors the owner's trust and reinforces your own reliability. Have you noticed how people remember those who return things promptly, or who give credit where it's due? It builds a reputation of fairness and thoughtfulness. On the flip side, holding on to what isn't yours, whether through forgetfulness or intent, plants seeds of resentment and suspicion. This principle extends beyond physical objects. It includes acknowledging when a colleague had the idea in a meeting, giving back borrowed time by being punctual, and not claiming space that isn't yours. Integrity is woven from these small choices. The next time you find yourself with something that isn't yours to keep, take the extra step to return it, acknowledge it, or make it right. It may seem minor, but it signals to the world that you can be trusted with what truly matters. 49. Make apologies short and heartfelt. Have you ever noticed how a long, over-explained apology can sometimes feel less sincere than a simple, heartfelt one? The essence of an apology lies not in how many words you use, but in the authenticity behind them. Imagine accidentally stepping on a friend's foot or missing an important commitment. A brief, genuine expression of remorse, like, "I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have done that," often carries more weight than a detailed justification or defensive explanation. Have you noticed how people respond more openly to sincerity than to overcomplication? A short, heartfelt apology shows that you recognize the impact of your actions and are willing to take responsibility without deflecting blame. It demonstrates respect for the other person's feelings and saves emotional energy for repairing the relationship rather than explaining it away. While it's natural to want to explain context or reasoning, over-explaining can dilute your accountability. Instead, focus on the core message: acknowledgement, regret, and commitment to do better. Have you seen how such apologies often diffuse tension quickly and invite forgiveness? The next time you need to apologize, aim for brevity and honesty. Speak from the heart, keep it simple, and let your sincerity do the work. In many ways, a short and genuine apology is more powerful than any long speech. You honor both your integrity and the other person's feelings. 50. Create positive sum scenarios. Have you ever been in a situation where it felt like there could only be a winner and a loser? That mindset of zero-sum thinking is so common, yet it limits creativity and connection. Imagine approaching a negotiation or team project with the perspective that everyone can benefit simultaneously. When you create positive sum scenarios, you shift from thinking competitively to thinking collaboratively. It's about finding solutions where the outcome is better for everyone involved, not just for yourself. Have you noticed how this mindset transforms interactions? Instead of guarding ideas or resources, you share openly, knowing that collaboration often leads to better, more innovative results. For instance, in a workplace project, combining your expertise with a colleague's strengths may produce results neither of you could achieve alone. Even in daily life, positive thinking applies. When planning group activities, sharing credit, or resolving conflicts, by looking for mutually beneficial outcomes, you cultivate trust, reduce friction, and foster a culture of generosity and creativity. Have you seen how relationships deepen when people feel their needs are considered alongside your own? It requires patience, empathy, and the willingness to see beyond immediate gain. The next time you're faced with competition or negotiation, ask yourself, how can everyone win here? Shifting your mindset to positive thinking transforms challenges into opportunities for shared growth. 51. Give people time to settle in. Have you ever noticed how overwhelming it can feel to enter a new environment? Whether it's a workplace, a social group, or even a family gathering, people often need time to observe, process, and find their footing before they can fully engage. Giving others the time to settle in is a quiet act of generosity and understanding. Imagine joining a new team where everyone seems confident and fast-paced. Rushing to contribute immediately might feel like a necessity, but having someone give you space to adjust makes all the difference. Have you noticed how patience can create a sense of safety and belonging? Letting people acclimate at their own pace fosters confidence, allows them to understand dynamics, and ultimately contributes more meaningfully when they feel ready. This principle applies beyond workplaces, to social situations, classrooms, and even online communities. Allowing space to settle in communicates empathy and recognition that human adaptation takes time. Have you experienced the difference between being welcomed into a space and being rushed to perform? When you provide time and space for others to adjust, you create an environment of trust, comfort, and long-term engagement. The next time someone is new to a situation, consciously offer patience and understanding. By letting them find their rhythm naturally, you support their growth, contribution, and confidence. 52. Value how you say goodbye. Have you ever reflected on the subtle power behind how you say goodbye? Parting words and gestures leave lasting impressions, sometimes far more than we realize. Imagine ending a conversation, a meeting, or a visit with someone you care about. A rushed or distracted farewell can feel dismissive, while a warm, thoughtful goodbye conveys attention and respect. Have you noticed how a sincere, well-timed farewell can leave you feeling appreciated and connected, even after the interaction ends? Saying goodbye is not merely about signaling the end. It's about closing the moment intentionally and leaving a positive emotional trace. Whether it's a simple wave, a heartfelt hug, or a gentle word of thanks, how you part communicates value, presence, and attentiveness. Think about the last time someone made you feel truly seen at the end of an encounter. It's memorable, isn't it? Valuing how you say goodbye encourages you to pause, reflect, and act with care rather than habit. It transforms ordinary transitions into opportunities for connection and warmth. The next time you leave someone's presence, make your farewell thoughtful. Speak from the heart, offer genuine gratitude, and leave the moment with kindness. The small investment of attention can strengthen relationships, reinforce trust, and make partings a source of comfort rather than indifference. 53. Look ahead with a friendly attitude. Have you ever noticed how your mindset affects not only your mood but the way others perceive you? Looking ahead with a friendly attitude is a conscious choice that shapes your interactions, decisions, and experiences. Imagine walking into a new day with openness and a smile, rather than suspicion or worry. Your attitude sets the tone not only for yourself but also for those around you. Have you noticed how a warm, welcoming demeanor attracts cooperation, curiosity, and connection? A friendly approach can ease tension in stressful situations, create smoother conversations, and open doors that might otherwise remain closed. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about approaching life with optimism, curiosity, and empathy. Consider traffic, crowded spaces, or busy workplaces. Your mindset can transform friction into patience and collaboration. A friendly attitude invites conversation, encourages problem-solving, and often diffuses conflict before it escalates. Next time you face uncertainty or a new challenge, consciously adopt a warm, open approach. Smile, speak kindly, and anticipate goodwill from others. By looking ahead with friendliness, you not only make your own path smoother, but also enrich the lives of those you encounter. It's a simple yet powerful way to cultivate connection, trust, and positivity in every interaction. 54. Mark every minor achievement. Have you ever overlooked small victories because you were focused on bigger goals? Life is a series of steps, and every minor achievement deserves recognition. Imagine completing a challenging task at work, finishing a small personal project, or simply sticking to a habit you've been trying to build. Have you noticed how celebrating these moments, even quietly, reinforces motivation and confidence? Marking minor achievements is not about bragging. It's about honoring your effort and progress. Think about the ripple effect. When you acknowledge small wins, you cultivate a mindset of appreciation and self-recognition, which encourages persistence and resilience. Have you noticed how children naturally celebrate minor milestones, yet adults often forget to do the same? By consciously taking note of even subtle successes, you train yourself to notice growth and progress rather than only measuring against the ultimate outcome. This practice applies not just to yourself but to others as well. Recognize your team members' small contributions, your friends' incremental improvements, or your family's little efforts. Each acknowledgement builds confidence, fosters encouragement, and strengthens relationships. The next time you accomplish something, no matter how small, pause to celebrate it. Record it, share it, or simply savor the feeling. These small acts of recognition transform ordinary days into a journey of continuous accomplishment and joy. 55. Let people speak without interrupting. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone kept interrupting, and you felt your thoughts were undervalued? Allowing people to speak without interruption is a profound act of respect and attention. Imagine sitting with a friend sharing their worries or ideas, only to have your words constantly cut off. It can make you feel unheard and diminish the connection. Have you noticed how patience in listening transforms the quality of a conversation? By giving someone the space to finish their thoughts, you show that you value not just their words, but the person behind them. Listening without interrupting allows ideas to unfold fully, encourages honesty, and fosters understanding. It also gives you time to process information, ask meaningful questions, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Imagine the difference in a team meeting when everyone is allowed to speak fully. Ideas flow more freely, creativity flourishes, and collaboration improves. Have you noticed how people tend to speak more openly and authentically when they know they will be heard? The next time you're in a conversation, focus on letting others express themselves fully before you respond. By doing so, you cultivate trust, strengthen relationships, and create a culture of mutual respect and attentiveness. 56. Send a quick update if you're running late. Have you ever waited for someone who didn't show up on time, wondering if they had forgotten or if something went wrong? A simple update when you're running late can prevent anxiety, frustration, and misunderstandings. Imagine texting a friend or colleague, "Running 5 minutes behind. See you soon." That small message communicates respect for their time and consideration for their feelings. Have you noticed how the tiniest gestures often make the biggest difference in relationships? Keeping people informed about delays shows reliability, accountability, and empathy. It also reduces tension and prevents the other person from making assumptions about your intentions or priorities. In professional contexts, timely communication can maintain workflow efficiency, protect reputations, and strengthen trust. In personal relationships, it shows thoughtfulness and care. Imagine a meeting or dinner where everyone knows when someone will arrive versus when no communication is given. The difference in comfort and preparedness is remarkable. The next time you find yourself running behind schedule, take a moment to send a quick update. It doesn't require a detailed explanation. It just signals awareness and respect. This simple habit transforms punctuality challenges into opportunities for thoughtful, considerate communication. 57. Know when you've agreed too much. Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed because you said yes to too many commitments? It's a common trap. The desire to please, avoid conflict, or appear helpful leads us to overcommit. Imagine juggling multiple projects, social obligations, or favors and realizing your energy is stretched thin. Have you noticed how constantly agreeing without reflection can lead to stress, resentment, and compromised quality of work? Learning to recognize your limits is essential for personal well-being and healthy relationships. Knowing when you've agreed too much requires awareness and courage. It means pausing before accepting another task or request and honestly evaluating whether you can commit without sacrificing balance. A respectful, "I'm already at capacity, can I help another time?" communicates boundaries while maintaining goodwill. Have you noticed how people who set boundaries are often more respected, reliable, and effective in the long run? Saying no strategically is not selfish. It's an act of self-preservation and integrity. It allows you to focus your attention where it matters most, deliver quality contributions, and maintain your mental and emotional health. The next time a request comes your way, pause, reflect, and assess your capacity before agreeing. Doing so transforms overcommitment into thoughtful engagement and preserves both your energy and your relationships. 58. Enjoy laughter without ridicule. Have you ever shared a joke and noticed someone laughing at another's expense, leaving an awkward tension in the air? Genuine laughter is joyful and connective, but ridicule corrodes trust and empathy. Imagine a group of friends sharing a funny story that everyone can relate to, without targeting or embarrassing anyone. Have you noticed how that kind of laughter strengthens bonds and uplifts the group? Enjoying humor without ridicule requires awareness and sensitivity. It's about finding joy in the moment rather than in someone else's misfortune. Laughing with people, rather than at them, creates an inclusive environment where everyone feels safe, respected, and valued. It also teaches humility and empathy, reminding us that humor is a shared experience, not a weapon. Imagine navigating tense situations or challenging work environments with this principle: lighthearted. Inclusive humor can ease stress, improve communication, and foster collaboration. Have you observed how people gravitate toward those who can laugh kindly rather than mockingly? Choosing laughter without ridicule signals emotional intelligence and maturity. The next time you share humor, reflect on whether it invites connection or exclusion. Inclusive, gentle laughter strengthens relationships, nurtures goodwill, and infuses life with joy without diminishing anyone. 59. Offer a seat. Share comfort. Have you ever noticed how a simple act like offering someone a seat can transform a moment? It's more than just a practical gesture. It's an expression of empathy and awareness. Imagine someone standing in a crowded train or a long queue, and you choose to give up your seat without making a show of it. That small act communicates, "I see you, and I care about your comfort." Have you noticed how such gestures ripple beyond the immediate moment? Sharing comfort builds trust, kindness, and connection. It's a silent acknowledgement that other people's needs matter as much as your own. This principle extends beyond physical seating. It includes making room in conversations for quieter voices, slowing down to allow someone to catch up, or offering your help in situations where it's needed. Comfort can be emotional, mental, or even temporal, like giving someone your undivided attention. When you offer comfort generously, you make life smoother for others while reinforcing your own sense of empathy and humanity. Imagine the positive ripple effects when multiple people in a community or workplace practice this regularly. A culture of attentiveness, respect, and shared care emerges. The next time you notice someone in need, consider how you might share comfort, even in small, seemingly insignificant ways. These gestures, though subtle, create lasting warmth and connection. 60. Accept that absence teaches us. Have you ever experienced the absence of someone or something and realized it taught you more than constant presence ever could? Absence is often seen as emptiness, but it carries lessons about appreciation, perspective, and resilience. Imagine missing a friend who moved away, a mentor who retired, or even a routine you once took for granted. Initially, absence may feel frustrating or lonely, but over time it cultivates gratitude and deeper understanding. Have you noticed how separation helps you reflect on relationships, priorities, and what truly matters? Absence encourages introspection. It teaches patience, fosters independence, and often strengthens bonds once reunions occur. For instance, a family member's absence during a holiday may reveal the value of shared time, or a mentor stepping back allows you to grow self-reliance and confidence. Embracing absence doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means recognizing the hidden gifts in missing someone or something. It reminds you to treasure the present and to invest meaningfully in connections when possible. The next time absence enters your life, pause and reflect. Observe the lessons it offers, whether patience, perspective, or newfound appreciation. Life's gaps, when seen intentionally, become spaces of learning, growth, and renewed understanding. 61. Cherish well-timed puns. Have you ever experienced the perfect pun in conversation? Timing so impeccable it makes everyone laugh effortlessly? Wordplay, when delivered thoughtfully, is more than humor. It's a form of creativity and attentiveness. Imagine noticing a subtle opportunity to twist a phrase, and the resulting laughter connects people across differences. Cherishing well-timed puns is about appreciating the rhythm of conversation and the joy that comes from cleverness without causing offense. Have you noticed how playful language can lighten tense moments, create bonding, and spark joy in everyday interactions? A well-placed pun signals that you're present, attentive, and creatively engaged with the world around you. It's not about dominating conversation but enhancing it, adding delight without overshadowing others. Observing and celebrating these moments encourages wit, observation, and shared amusement. Imagine a group discussion where humor is spontaneous, light, and inclusive. People feel uplifted, relaxed, and more connected. Have you noticed how people remember moments of clever wordplay long after they happen? Cherishing and contributing to such moments strengthens relationships, adds joy to daily interactions, and reminds us that even small sparks of creativity can brighten the world. The next time a pun lands perfectly, savor it, share it, and let the laughter ripple naturally. 62. Don't one-up someone's struggles. Have you ever tried to empathize with someone only to realize that you unintentionally minimized their experience by comparing it to yours? One-upping struggles often happens unconsciously. You want to relate, but it can make the other person feel dismissed or unheard. Imagine a friend sharing their stress over work, and you respond with, "I had it worse last week." Even if intended as empathy, it shifts focus from their feelings to yours. Have you noticed how this can create distance rather than connection? True empathy involves listening fully, validating emotions, and resisting the urge to compete with experiences. It's about acknowledging, "I hear you, and what you're going through matters," without needing to compare or rank hardships. When you refrain from one-upping, you create a safe space for vulnerability and honesty. Relationships deepen when people feel their struggles are respected and received without judgment or competition. Have you noticed how just listening, without offering your own experiences, can be profoundly comforting to someone in pain? The next time someone shares a challenge, pause and focus entirely on their story. Resist the temptation to relate through comparison. By doing so, you validate their experience, build trust, and foster a deeper sense of empathy and connection. 63. Notice the small things others do. Have you ever observed how small, thoughtful actions often go unnoticed, even though they carry significant meaning? A colleague who brings coffee without being asked, a friend who remembers little details about your day, or a partner who quietly tidies a space. All these gestures signal care and attentiveness. Have you noticed how acknowledging these small acts can strengthen relationships and foster mutual respect? Noticing doesn't require grand gestures. It's about mindfulness and appreciation for effort, intention, and consistency. When you pause to recognize what others do, especially the subtle things, it communicates that you see them, value them, and respect their contribution. Imagine the impact of saying, "I really appreciate how you handled that," or "Thank you for thinking of that." The recognition not only uplifts but encourages ongoing thoughtfulness. Have you noticed how easily small kindnesses compound when they're acknowledged? It creates a positive loop where consideration is noticed, appreciated, and reciprocated. The next time someone takes the time to act kindly, deliberately observe and appreciate it. Celebrate the effort, not just the result. By noticing and valuing these small contributions, you cultivate gratitude, build trust, and create a culture of attentiveness that enhances every interaction. 64. Find comfort in imperfection. Have you ever felt frustrated because things didn't turn out exactly as planned? Perfection is an illusion, and chasing it relentlessly often leads to stress and dissatisfaction. Finding comfort in imperfection is about embracing the reality that life is beautifully messy, and that flaws are part of growth. Imagine finishing a project that's good but not flawless, or cooking a meal that tastes wonderful even if it isn't presented perfectly. Have you noticed how accepting small imperfections can reduce anxiety, increase satisfaction, and even enhance creativity? When you allow yourself to see value in things as they are, you cultivate resilience and adaptability. Comfort in imperfection also applies to yourself and others. Perhaps a friend forgets a commitment, or you make a mistake at work. Rather than harsh judgment, approaching it with understanding encourages learning and connection. Have you observed how moments of imperfection often carry the most authenticity, humor, and humanity? By leaning into imperfection rather than resisting it, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure and open up space for joy, spontaneity, and growth. The next time you encounter an imperfect situation, pause and appreciate it for what it offers. Notice the lessons, the effort, and the beauty in the flaws. In doing so, you cultivate calm, gratitude, and a healthier relationship with life itself. 65. Broaden your perspective regularly. Have you ever realized how easily you can get stuck in a single way of thinking? Life's richness often emerges when you intentionally broaden your perspective. This means seeking out experiences, viewpoints, and ideas different from your own. Imagine reading about cultures, careers, or lifestyles you wouldn't normally consider, or engaging in conversations with people whose experiences differ from yours. Have you noticed how these exposures shift your understanding, empathy, and creativity? Broadening perspective isn't just intellectual, it's emotional and experiential. It allows you to see challenges and opportunities in new ways, to question assumptions, and to cultivate humility. For instance, a disagreement may seem black and white until you consider the other person's context and constraints. Have you observed how broadening your perspective often leads to more effective problem-solving, better collaboration, and richer personal relationships? It also fosters tolerance, curiosity, and openness, qualities that make life more meaningful and connections more authentic. The next time you encounter a situation, intentionally step outside your habitual lens. Ask, what might I be missing? How else could this be interpreted? By regularly expanding your perspective, you enrich your thinking, deepen empathy, and engage with the world in more thoughtful, creative, and compassionate ways. 66. Respond softly to gentle people. Have you ever interacted with someone who communicates quietly, hesitantly, or with understated emotion? Gentle people often offer subtle insights and care, but their voice can be easily overlooked in noisy environments. Responding softly to them doesn't mean being patronizing or indulgent. It means matching their tone, attentiveness, and pace. Imagine a conversation where a friend expresses concern with a tentative voice. Your soft, careful response conveys respect, validation, and presence. Have you noticed how responding gently encourages openness, trust, and authentic expression? When you mirror calmness and care, you create a safe space where the other person feels heard and valued. This principle also applies to emotionally sensitive situations, conflicts, disappointments, or delicate discussions. A gentle response can prevent escalation, ease tension, and nurture connection. It shows that you are attuned to the emotional landscape and that you value the feelings behind the words. Have you seen how gentle interactions often leave lasting impressions, building deeper relationships and mutual respect? The next time you engage with someone whose manner is subtle or soft, consciously respond in kind. Match their rhythm, acknowledge their voice, and honor their presence. By doing so, you cultivate empathy, patience, and stronger, more meaningful connections. 67. Decline with dignity. Have you ever felt torn between wanting to say no and fearing how it would be received? Declining is one of life's trickier skills. Done harshly, it can wound. Done vaguely, it creates confusion. But declining with dignity balances honesty with respect, protecting your own boundaries while preserving the relationship. Think of a time someone declined your request kindly. "I really appreciate you asking, but I won't be able to commit right now." Didn't that feel far better than being ignored or brushed off? Declining with dignity is about clarity without cruelty. It's about saying no in a way that acknowledges the other person's need but honors your own reality. Often, the fear of declining comes from equating no with rejection. But have you noticed how people usually respect you more when you're clear and considerate? Vagueness or avoidance often does more harm than a straightforward but warm refusal. The next time you need to say no, frame it with care. Acknowledge the request, explain briefly if needed, and close with goodwill. For example, "I can't join this weekend, but I hope it's a wonderful event." This way, your no carries kindness. You preserve relationships while protecting your own energy, and that's the true dignity of a well-spoken decline. 68. Show appreciation quietly. Have you ever noticed how the most meaningful thank yous are sometimes the quiet ones? Big, loud gestures can feel performative, while quiet appreciation carries sincerity. Showing appreciation quietly doesn't mean withholding gratitude. It means offering it in ways that feel personal, authentic, and thoughtful. Imagine a colleague finishing a task well. Instead of a public announcement, you write a small note that says, "I noticed the effort you put into this. It made a difference." Doesn't that feel more intimate, more genuine? Quiet appreciation lives in the details. It might be topping up a friend's glass without being asked, checking in on someone after they've shared something vulnerable, or simply acknowledging effort with a warm smile. Have you realized how powerful those small acknowledgments are? They often land deeper because they're given without spectacle, without expectation of recognition in return. This doesn't mean public praise has no place, but it's not always needed. Sometimes people prefer knowing you saw them quietly, without spotlighting them. Quiet gratitude creates trust because it tells others, "I value you even when no one is watching." The next time you feel thankful, consider expressing it softly. A message, a gesture, or even a nod of acknowledgement can be enough. These quiet ripples of appreciation weave bonds that are steady and enduring, reminding people that their efforts, however small, truly matter. 69. Mind your manners in shared spaces. Have you ever noticed how the smallest courtesies in shared spaces can completely shift the atmosphere? Shared spaces, be it an office, a cafe, public transport, or even your neighborhood, are arenas where countless micro-interactions unfold daily. The way you behave in them influences not only your own experience but also the comfort of everyone around you. Imagine walking into a common area where people leave things messy, talk loudly without regard, or ignore basic etiquette. Doesn't it create tension and discomfort? Now picture the opposite. Someone holds the door for you, lowers their voice to respect the environment, or cleans up after themselves. That creates ease, warmth, and harmony. Mindfulness in shared spaces is not about rigid rules. It's about awareness and respect. Have you noticed how people instantly relax when kindness and consideration are present? Even simple actions, waiting your turn patiently, keeping personal belongings from sprawling into others' areas, or offering a smile, show that you acknowledge others' presence and needs. These courtesies signal maturity, empathy, and responsibility. Shared spaces are reflections of shared values. They teach us cooperation and coexistence. The next time you enter one, ask yourself, how can I contribute to making this space more comfortable for everyone? By doing so, you set a tone of civility and respect that benefits all. 70. Match others' emotions before talking solutions. Have you ever jumped into problem-solving mode only to realize the person you were trying to help wasn't ready for it? Many times, people don't want immediate answers. They want understanding. Matching someone's emotions before offering solutions creates alignment and connection. Imagine a friend sharing frustrations about work, and instead of saying, "Here's what you should do," you pause, acknowledge their feelings, and reflect their emotions. That sounds incredibly frustrating. I can see why you'd feel that way. Have you noticed how this validation calms the intensity and opens the door for deeper conversation? Once emotions are acknowledged, solutions can be received more effectively. This principle works in relationships, parenting, leadership, and friendships alike. Matching emotions isn't imitation. It's empathetic resonance. It communicates, "I hear you. I get you." Have you observed how this builds trust and reduces defensiveness? The truth is, people rarely absorb solutions until they feel understood. By meeting emotions first, you bridge the gap between distress and clarity. The next time someone shares a struggle, slow down, reflect their feelings, and then, only when invited, explore solutions together. You'll find the outcomes far more collaborative and meaningful. 71. Let hidden character stand out. Have you ever been surprised when someone revealed a side of themselves you hadn't noticed before? Hidden character often emerges in unexpected situations. Moments of challenge, acts of kindness, or quiet decisions made without applause. Allowing these qualities to surface naturally, without judgment or interruption, deepens your appreciation for the people around you. Imagine a colleague who rarely speaks but offers invaluable insight during a crisis, or a friend who quietly supports others without seeking recognition. Have you noticed how these glimpses of hidden character can shift your entire perspective of a person? Too often, we form quick impressions based on surface-level traits, but true character reveals itself gradually. When you create space for it, through patience, attentive listening, and openness, you give others permission to express their depth. Have you observed how honoring hidden character fosters mutual respect and richer relationships? It reminds you that people are layered, evolving, and more complex than first impressions suggest. The next time you interact, slow down your assumptions and allow hidden character to stand out. In doing so, you'll deepen connections, build empathy, and perhaps even uncover strengths and virtues that inspire your own growth. 72. Use emojis for clarity in digital chat. Have you ever sent a message that was misunderstood because tone didn't carry through? In digital communication, words often lack nuance, and that's where emojis come in. Not as childish decorations, but as tools for clarity and warmth. A simple smiley can soften a blunt statement, a wink can show humor, and a heart can express gratitude without paragraphs. Imagine receiving "thanks" versus "thanks smiling face with smiling eyes," which feels warmer. Have you noticed how emojis bridge the gap between plain text and human tone? They can prevent miscommunication, lighten the mood, and add personality to otherwise dry exchanges. Of course, context matters. Using too many can overwhelm, while using none in casual conversation can feel cold or distant. The key is balance and intentionality. Have you observed how a well-placed emoji can turn digital chat into something more personal and human? They remind us that behind every message is a person, not just text. The next time you type, consider whether an emoji can help clarify intent, soften tone, or add friendliness. By doing so, you create digital conversations that feel warmer, clearer, and more connected. 73. Admit errors, including typos. Have you ever felt the urge to cover up a mistake, only to realize that acknowledging it would have been far simpler and healthier? Admitting errors, even small ones like typos, is a practice of humility and honesty. It shows that you value truth over image and growth over ego. Imagine sending an email with a typo. Rather than ignoring it, you send a quick follow-up correcting yourself with humor or humility. Doesn't it ease tension and make you more approachable? Have you noticed how people actually respect honesty more than perfection? Errors are inevitable. What matters is how you respond. By admitting mistakes openly, you create space for trust, learning, and resilience. This applies to larger situations too: misjudgments, wrong assumptions, or miscommunications. Owning up to them without defensiveness shows strength. not weakness. Have you observed how apologies and corrections often diffuse awkwardness and invite mutual grace? The next time you make an error, resist the instinct to hide it. Instead, acknowledge it sincerely, correct what you can, and move forward. In doing so, you model integrity, encourage openness, and remind everyone that mistakes are part of being human. 74. Design with inclusivity always. Have you ever paused to notice how something as simple as a doorway, a website, or even a menu can either welcome or exclude someone? Design is not just about aesthetics, it's about inclusion, access, and dignity. When you design with inclusivity in mind, you're saying, "You belong here." Imagine a ramp at an entrance, captions on a video, or clear fonts that are easy to read. Have you noticed how these small details can mean the difference between someone feeling accommodated or ignored? Inclusivity goes beyond accessibility. It's about recognizing diverse needs, abilities, and perspectives. When you think broadly about who might interact with what you create, you expand its impact and relevance. Have you considered how designing inclusively not only benefits those who need it most but also enriches the experience for everyone? Subtitles help language learners, ramps aid parents with strollers, and clear instructions guide those unfamiliar with a process. The truth is, inclusive design is not a luxury. It's a responsibility. The next time you create, ask yourself, who might this unintentionally leave out? By addressing that question with care, you transform ordinary design into something extraordinary. A space, product, or experience that welcomes everyone equally. 75. Allow people their grieving space. Have you ever felt awkward around someone grieving, not knowing what to say or how to act? Grief is deeply personal, and one of the greatest gifts you can give is space. Space to feel, to mourn, to process without pressure. Imagine being in pain and someone rushing to cheer you up or distract you. Does that feel comforting or dismissive? Often, in our eagerness to help, we unintentionally crowd grief instead of respecting it. Have you noticed how allowing someone to sit with their sorrow, while gently signaling your presence, can bring more comfort than 1,000 words? Grieving space means patience, listening without fixing, and honoring silences. It's understanding that everyone grieves differently. Some openly, some quietly, some through rituals and others through solitude. By giving space, you're saying, "I respect your process, and I'm here when you're ready." Have you observed how this approach nurtures trust and reduces the loneliness that often accompanies loss? The next time you encounter grief, resist the urge to rush it away. Instead, hold space with compassion. In doing so, you become a quiet anchor in the storm, offering presence instead of pressure. 76. Don't guilt others over canceled plans. Have you ever had to cancel plans and felt the weight of guilt press down on you, not just because of your schedule, but because of someone's disappointed reaction? Life happens, emergencies, exhaustion, shifting priorities. Canceled plans are part of being human. When you guilt someone for backing out, you turn a simple change into unnecessary shame. Imagine how refreshing it feels when a friend says, "No worries, I understand," instead of sighing or making you feel bad. Have you noticed how guilt-free acceptance strengthens bonds, while resentment erodes them? Offering grace shows that you value the person more than the plan itself. And when it's you canceling, communicating honestly and with warmth maintains trust. Have you reflected on how flexible, understanding friendships often last longer? By refusing to guilt others, you create a culture of compassion where people feel safe to prioritize their well-being. The truth is, sometimes canceled plans lead to better moments later, ones filled with more energy and presence. The next time someone cancels, choose kindness over complaint. You'll not only ease their stress but also deepen the respect in your relationship. 77. Ask what someone prefers. Have you ever assumed what someone wanted, only to find out later you missed the mark completely? Asking preferences, whether it's about food, seating, communication style, or even how they like to receive support, can be surprisingly powerful. Imagine ordering a meal for a friend without asking and realizing they dislike what you chose. Doesn't that feel careless? Now think of asking, "Do you prefer this or that?" and how it conveys respect for their individuality. Have you noticed how being asked makes you feel valued and seen? Asking preferences isn't about indecision, it's about consideration. It transforms ordinary interactions into ones of collaboration. Even small moments like asking how someone likes their coffee or if they'd rather talk over the phone than text create ripples of respect. Have you considered how much smoother relationships become when assumptions are replaced with curiosity? The next time you're unsure, pause and ask, "What do you prefer?" This simple habit can prevent misunderstandings, honor differences, and show genuine care. In doing so, you build a foundation of trust that strengthens every kind of relationship, personal, professional, or casual. 78. Protect subtle interactions and moments. Have you ever realized that the most meaningful moments often aren't grand gestures but quiet, subtle exchanges? A shared glance, a thoughtful pause, a comforting silence. These are the threads that weave intimacy and connection. Protecting such interactions means recognizing their value and not rushing past them. Imagine sitting with a loved one, enjoying the stillness, or noticing how a colleague's brief smile lifts the mood of an entire day. Have you noticed how these small moments often stay with you longer than louder, flashier ones? Protecting them requires slowing down, putting away distractions, and honoring the beauty of simplicity. It's about valuing the unspoken as much as the spoken. Have you considered how subtle interactions often carry deeper authenticity than words ever could? A gentle nod can mean, "I understand," and a quiet presence can say, "I'm here." By protecting these moments, you nurture relationships with depth and sincerity. The next time you encounter one, resist the urge to fill the silence or scroll your phone. Stay with it. These subtle moments may be fleeting, but their impact can be profound. 79. Always listen before jumping to fix. Have you ever shared your struggles only to be met with a quick list of solutions? While problem-solving comes naturally to many of us, most people don't share because they want to fix. They share because they want to be heard. Always listening before fixing means giving space for emotions first. Imagine telling someone you're overwhelmed, and instead of, "Here's what you should do," they respond, "That sounds really heavy. I'm sorry you're dealing with that." Doesn't that shift the entire energy? Listening before fixing communicates empathy. It validates feelings without rushing past them. Have you noticed how solutions land more easily once someone feels understood? Skipping that step often leaves the person feeling dismissed, no matter how good your advice is. This approach doesn't mean you never help. It means you wait. Ask, "Would you like me to just listen? Or do you want ideas?" That question itself is powerful. It tells the other person you respect their needs in that moment. The next time someone comes to you with a problem, pause your urge to solve. Lean into listening. Offer your presence first and only after, if welcomed, offer solutions. You'll notice how much deeper your connections grow when people know you're there to hear them, not just fix them. 80. Use people's names with care. Have you ever noticed how hearing your name spoken kindly can instantly warm a conversation? A name isn't just a label. It carries identity, memory, and belonging. Using someone's name thoughtfully shows that you see them as an individual, not just part of the background. Imagine entering a cafe where the barista remembers your name. It feels personal, doesn't it? Or think of a colleague who greets you warmly, "Good morning, Priya," instead of just "morning." Have you noticed how this small act deepens connection? Yet, using names carelessly, mispronouncing without effort to learn, or overusing in a forced way can have the opposite effect. It's not about sprinkling names for flattery, but about genuine acknowledgement. Have you considered how much respect you show when you take the time to ask, "Did I pronounce that correctly?" Or when you remember a name after just one introduction? Using names with care builds trust, shows attentiveness, and creates rapport. The next time you interact, slow down and say the person's name with intention. In that moment, you affirm their presence and dignity, making the exchange more human and memorable. 81. Take a bigger perspective in difficult times. Have you ever been so caught up in a tough situation that it felt like the whole world shrank to that single problem? When challenges loom large, perspective often slips away. Taking a bigger perspective in difficult times doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means widening the lens so the hardship doesn't consume the entire picture of your life. Imagine zooming out on a map. What once seemed like the whole world is just one small part of a larger landscape. Think of a disagreement with a friend. In the moment, it might feel like the relationship is broken. But step back, and you'll remember the years of laughter, trust, and shared memories. Have you noticed how this broader view softens the sting? Similarly, professional setbacks, though crushing in the present, often become stepping stones when seen from the distance of time. Perspective also invites humility. It reminds you that you are not alone. Countless others face similar struggles. It shows you that life contains more than this single difficulty. Relationships, dreams, and strength still exist around you. Asking, "Will this matter in 5 years?" can often loosen the grip of today's pain. The next time you feel trapped in the heaviness of a moment, pause and breathe. Step back. Remind yourself, this is one chapter, not the entire story. By taking a bigger perspective, you anchor yourself in resilience, allowing the storm to pass without losing sight of the horizon beyond it. 82. Introduce others by their strengths. Have you ever noticed how introductions often stop at names and job titles? This is Priya. She works in finance. While accurate, such introductions miss an opportunity. Introducing others by their strengths not only honors them but also shapes how others perceive and engage with them. Imagine saying, "This is Priya. She has an incredible gift for simplifying complex numbers and making them understandable." Doesn't that feel more alive, more meaningful? When you highlight someone's strengths, you spotlight what makes them valuable beyond their role. Have you seen how people's confidence lifts when others recognize their unique qualities? It creates a ripple. Others begin to interact with them through that lens of strength, and the person feels encouraged to lean into it even more. This practice also deepens relationships. It shows attentiveness, you've noticed and chosen to articulate something positive. It also shifts group dynamics, creating a culture where people are celebrated for what they bring, not reduced to labels. The next time you introduce someone, pause before defaulting to titles. Ask yourself, what is one strength of theirs I genuinely admire? Then share that. You'll find that introductions become not just functional but affirming, leaving people seen, valued, and inspired to live up to the best of themselves. 83. Collect and create happy memories. Have you ever looked back and realized your happiest memories weren't from big milestones, but from simple, everyday joys? A shared meal, a walk at sunset, a conversation that left you laughing. These are the treasures that last. Collecting and creating happy memories means living with awareness, noticing joy as it happens, and cherishing it enough to remember later. Think of how a photo captures a moment. But not every memory needs a camera. Sometimes, it's enough to pause and silently tell yourself, this is worth remembering. Have you noticed how small rituals, a weekly coffee with a friend, a bedtime story with a child, grow into cherished anchors of comfort over time? Creating memories isn't about planning grand events. It's about presence. Put away distractions, lean into the moment, and give yourself fully. Years later, these ordinary-seeming experiences will carry extraordinary weight. And when life feels heavy, memories become a resource. Recalling laughter, connection, or a quiet moment of peace can remind you of joy's resilience. The next time you find yourself smiling in a moment, stop and acknowledge it. Store it, share it, savor it. By collecting and creating memories intentionally, you build a library of joy that will sustain you long after the moment has passed. 84. Choose curiosity over judgment. Have you noticed how quickly your mind can label someone lazy, rude, careless, based on a single action? Judgment often feels natural, but it narrows your view. Curiosity, on the other hand, opens doors. Choosing curiosity over judgment means pausing to ask, what might explain their behavior? Instead of instantly concluding. Imagine a coworker missing a deadline. Judgment says, they're irresponsible. Curiosity wonders, could they be overwhelmed? Did they lack support? This shift changes not only how you see others but how you connect with them. Have you realized how curiosity invites compassion, while judgment creates distance? It doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior. It means seeking understanding before deciding how to respond. Think of conversations where someone challenged your views. Judgment might shut you down. They're wrong. Curiosity asks, why do they see it that way? This approach makes you a better listener, a more thoughtful communicator, and someone people trust. The next time judgment arises, catch it. Replace it with a question, not an answer. You'll notice that curiosity transforms tension into possibility, and what once felt like conflict can become an opening to learn and grow. 85. Share small joys, not just big achievements. Have you ever noticed how much weight we give to milestones, graduations, promotions, awards, while overlooking the smaller joys that make life meaningful? Sharing only your big wins can unintentionally create distance, as others may feel they cannot relate. But when you share small joys, a walk that cleared your mind, a meal that delighted you, a kind word from a stranger, you remind others of the everyday beauty they too can notice. Imagine telling a friend, "Today I heard a song that instantly lifted my mood." Doesn't that feel more relatable than announcing a rare achievement? Have you realized how small joys connect people more deeply than occasional triumphs? They show authenticity and invite others to share in return. Sharing joys doesn't minimize your accomplishments. It balances them with vulnerability and presence. It's in the details, the smell of rain, a funny conversation, a good cup of tea, that relationships grow richer. The next time you feel happy, no matter how small the reason, share it. You'll discover that joy multiplies when it is voiced, and sometimes the little things make the biggest impact. 86. Respect silence as much as words. Have you ever sat in silence with someone and felt it was enough? Silence can carry depth that words cannot. In a world obsessed with filling every pause, respecting silence is almost a forgotten art. But silence isn't emptiness. It's presence. It allows thoughts to breathe, emotions to settle, and connections to deepen without noise. Imagine sitting with a grieving friend. Rushing to fill the quiet with words of comfort may overwhelm them. But your silent companionship might speak louder than anything you could say. Have you noticed how silence in conversations, rather than being awkward, can actually show attentiveness and respect? In heated discussions, pausing before responding prevents escalation. In moments of reflection, silence invites clarity. Silence doesn't mean absence. It means space. The next time silence arises, resist the urge to break it immediately. Lean into it. Notice how it feels. You may discover that silence, when respected, enriches relationships, strengthens presence, and reveals truths that constant talking often hides. 87. Speak kindly behind people's backs. Have you noticed how often conversations about others slip into criticism or gossip? Speaking negatively behind someone's back might feel easy, but it erodes trust, even when they never hear it. Choosing to speak kindly when they're not around is a powerful act of integrity. Imagine someone hearing, "She's so thoughtful with details," or, "He always finds a way to make work lighter, even in their absence." How would that change their sense of belonging if it reached them later? Have you realized how speaking well of others creates ripple effects? Trust grows, reputations are strengthened, and positivity spreads? And when people know you practice this, they feel safer around you, confident that you'll treat their name with respect. This habit also reshapes your own outlook, training your mind to see strengths rather than flaws. The next time you catch yourself slipping into criticism, stop and choose kindness. Say something uplifting instead. You'll notice how it shifts the entire tone of the conversation, and how it elevates you as someone people can deeply rely on. 88. Celebrate others without comparison. Have you ever felt joy for someone but, at the same time, an ache of comparison? It's natural. The mind often measures another's success against your own. But celebrating others without comparison frees you from that trap. It allows you to truly enjoy their happiness while keeping your sense of worth intact. Imagine a friend buying a home or getting a promotion. Instead of thinking, Why not me? What if you said, I'm so happy for you, and meant it? Have you noticed how comparison drains your energy while genuine celebration fills you with warmth? Life isn't a race. Each journey unfolds at its own pace. By celebrating others sincerely, you strengthen relationships, build trust, and invite mutual support. And here's the beauty. You can celebrate someone else's success without losing your own light. Their win doesn't dim your worth. The next time you see someone thrive, pause and let yourself fully share in their joy. You'll find that celebration without comparison expands your heart, turning jealousy into connection and competition into community. 89. Allow others their grieving space. Have you ever felt the urge to say something comforting, only to realize later that your words didn't land as you hoped? When someone is grieving, your instinct may be to fix, soothe, or distract them. But often, what they truly need is space, the dignity to feel their emotions fully. Allowing others their grieving space doesn't mean stepping away coldly. It means offering presence without pressure. Imagine sitting with someone in silence, simply holding their hand. That can be far more healing than trying to explain away their pain. Have you noticed how grief makes time feel distorted? For one person, a week may feel enough to return to routine. For another, years might not ease the weight. Respecting this difference means you don't rush them or measure their progress by your own standards. Sometimes all you can say is, I'm here for you. And sometimes you don't need to say anything at all. Grief is not a problem to be solved, it's a process to be honored. By giving space, you offer the greatest gift. The freedom for someone to grieve in their own way, knowing they are not alone. 90. Don't guilt others over canceled plans. Have you ever felt disappointed when a friend canceled, but later realized they had a valid reason? Plans often carry expectations, but life brings surprises. Exhaustion, emergencies, or the need for rest. Guilt-tripping someone for canceling can strain the bond. Instead, practice understanding. Imagine telling a friend, that's okay. Let's reschedule when you're ready. Doesn't that feel lighter than, you always cancel? Have you noticed how guilt rarely makes people show up joyfully? It makes them drag themselves there, burdened by obligation. True connection thrives when people feel free, not forced. By letting go of guilt, you show care that extends beyond one evening or coffee. You signal, I value you more than this plan. And when you're the one who needs to cancel, you'll find others treat you with the same grace. Life isn't a checklist of kept appointments. It's about being present when it matters most. Release guilt, embrace flexibility, and you'll notice how much easier relationships flow when plans can bend without breaking the bond. 91. Ask what someone prefers. Have you noticed how easy it is to assume what people like? You might order food for a group, pick a playlist, or suggest an activity without asking what others prefer. While it may seem small, overlooking preferences can make people feel invisible. Asking, what would you like? Is a simple yet powerful way of showing respect. Imagine how seen you feel when someone asks your choice instead of deciding for you. Doesn't it make you feel included? Preferences are not just about taste, they're about identity, comfort, and value. A friend may prefer quiet evenings over loud outings. A colleague may prefer clear emails over rushed calls. Asking acknowledges their individuality. Have you realized how much smoother relationships run when you don't assume but invite input? The beauty lies in the asking, not just the answer. It communicates, your voice matters. Next time, pause before deciding for others. Ask, listen, adjust. You'll discover that respecting preferences, even in small ways, builds trust and strengthens bonds more than grand gestures ever could. 92. Protect subtle interactions and moments. Have you ever thought about how much life happens in the small, almost invisible exchanges? A quick smile from a stranger, the way someone passes you a cup of tea, the nod of acknowledgement when you share a joke. These subtle moments are the threads of connection. Protecting them means noticing and valuing them, rather than brushing them aside as unimportant. Imagine someone telling you, I really appreciated how you checked in on me yesterday. Suddenly, that small act feels significant. Have you noticed how easily distractions, phones, deadlines, rushing, can erase these micro moments. Protecting them requires slowing down and being present enough to catch them. These subtleties are where warmth lives. They're what make a conversation linger in memory long after the words fade. When you protect these moments, you guard the humanity in interactions, making relationships richer. The next time you catch yourself about to overlook a small kindness or gesture, pause and appreciate it. You'll notice that it's these quiet details that shape the texture of life, far more than the grand occasions. 93. Always listen before jumping to fix. Have you ever shared a problem only to hear solutions before you even finished speaking? It's frustrating, isn't it? Most people don't share to be fixed, they share to be heard. Listening before fixing is about holding space for emotions first. Imagine telling someone you're stressed, and instead of advice, they say, "That sounds really tough. How are you coping? Doesn't that feel better?" Have you realized how often people just need acknowledgement before action? Jumping to fix can make them feel dismissed, as if their feelings are less important than efficiency. But when you truly listen, you validate their experience. Solutions may come later, but they land better after empathy. The next time someone shares with you, resist the urge to solve right away. Listen fully, reflect what you hear, and only then ask, "Would you like advice, or just someone to listen?" You'll notice how this shift deepens trust and makes your presence more healing than any solution could. 94. Use people's names with care. Have you noticed how your name sounds different when spoken kindly? A name is more than a label, it's a bridge of recognition. Using someone's name thoughtfully shows respect, attention, and warmth. Imagine entering a cafe and the barista remembers your name. Suddenly, you feel seen. Or think of a meeting where a colleague begins, "What do you think, Priya?" Doesn't that feel more engaging than a generic, "What do you think?" But names are delicate. Overusing them can sound artificial. Mispronouncing them without effort to learn can feel careless. Using names with care means paying attention, pronouncing them correctly, not shortening them without permission, and using them in moments that matter. Have you realized how names anchor people in belonging? It's often the first word they learn to respond to, and still it carries weight. The next time you speak to someone, pause and use their name sincerely, whether in greeting, appreciation, or acknowledgement. You'll notice the conversation shift from formality to connection, reminding them they are not just another face but a valued person in your world. 95. Take a bigger perspective in difficult times. Have you ever felt so caught up in a challenge that it consumed your entire focus? In those moments, problems feel endless. Taking a bigger perspective helps you breathe again. Imagine zooming out on a map. Suddenly, what seemed overwhelming looks smaller in the larger picture. Difficult times can shrink your vision, making you forget the bigger story of your life. Have you noticed how setbacks that once felt crushing now feel like stepping stones in hindsight? Perspective doesn't erase pain, but it softens it by reminding you this moment is not forever. Looking at the bigger picture, asking, "Will this matter in 5 years?" often shrinks today's burden. Perspective also reminds you of what still stands strong. Relationships, skills, health, resilience. The next time you're weighed down, pause and step back. Imagine yourself a year from now, looking back with more clarity. Doesn't the problem feel lighter already? Perspective won't solve everything instantly, but it grants you the balance to carry hardship with steadier shoulders. 96. Introduce others by their strengths. Have you noticed how introductions often focus on job titles or roles? "This is Rohan, he works in IT." While factual, it misses the essence of who someone is. Introducing others by their strengths elevates them in ways that titles cannot. Imagine saying, "This is Rohan. He's incredible at solving complex problems calmly." Doesn't that sound more powerful? It not only honors the person but also frames them positively for others. Have you realized how being introduced this way boosts confidence and sets the tone for richer connections? Strength-based introductions make people feel valued for who they are, not just what they do. It encourages them to show up authentically, knowing their contributions are seen. The next time you introduce someone, pause before defaulting to titles. Ask yourself, What strength do I see in them that others should know? Share that. You'll notice how the energy of the interaction shifts. Conversations open with appreciation rather than formality, and people feel deeply recognized. 97. Collect and create happy memories. Have you ever noticed how your mind drifts back to joyful moments when life feels heavy? Memories act like anchors, reminding you that happiness is possible even in difficult times. But happy memories don't just happen. They can be intentionally created and cherished. Imagine planning a small picnic, laughing over inside jokes, or snapping a silly photo with friends. Doesn't it feel good to revisit those images later? Collecting memories means not letting them slip by unnoticed. Have you realized how often joy is felt but not marked? By pausing to appreciate, capture, or retell the moment, you give it a lasting place in your story. Happy memories aren't only for grand events. They're in shared meals, unexpected kindnesses, and moments of peace. The next time joy appears, stop and notice it. Save it, share it, or simply hold it close. You'll discover that memories are like a personal library of light, and the more you collect, the more resilient you become when life turns dark. 98. Stay through someone's story. Have you ever begun sharing something only to notice the listener's attention drift away halfway? It's discouraging, isn't it? Staying through someone's story means being present from beginning to end, regardless of how long or winding the tale may be. Imagine a friend recalling their childhood adventures, complete with tangents and details you might not find important. For them, though, every detail matters. Your patience tells them their words, and by extension, their experiences hold value. When you stay through, you're not just listening to information, you're listening to a person. Have you noticed how often conversations get interrupted by quick comparisons or stories of our own? We tend to jump in with, "That happened to me too," before the speaker even finishes. While we may think we're connecting, it often shifts the spotlight away from them. Staying through requires patience, yes, but it also requires humility. It's saying, "I'll give you this space without rushing to add myself in." Think about the times when someone let you finish, when they didn't hurry you along but instead leaned in, nodded, and gave you time. Didn't that feel like being seen? By listening fully, you show deep respect, and that respect strengthens trust. Even if you don't remember every detail of their story later, the person will remember how you made them feel while telling it. The next time someone begins sharing, even if it rambles or stretches longer than expected, make the choice to stay until the end. Ask small questions, hold eye contact, and let the pauses breathe. You'll discover that finishing someone's story with them is less about the content and more about the connection. Presence, after all, is one of the most powerful gifts you can give. 99. Spot loneliness and reach out. Have you ever been in a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Loneliness doesn't always announce itself loudly. It often hides in subtle expressions, quiet gestures, or the way someone hangs at the edge of a group. Spotting it requires attentiveness and empathy. Look for the friend who replies briefly but never initiates, the coworker who lingers but doesn't join conversations, or the family member who stays quiet at the table. These are often quiet signals of someone longing for connection. Reaching out doesn't require dramatic actions. It can be as small as sending a message that says, "Thinking of you today," or inviting someone to join you for lunch. Have you noticed how even brief outreach can brighten a person's day in ways you'll never fully see? Often, people battling loneliness won't ask for help directly because they fear being a burden. When you notice and take the first step, you're telling them, "You matter enough for me to see you." Think about the times you've felt isolated. Wouldn't it have made a difference if someone had simply asked how you were, not out of obligation but genuine care? By offering presence, you help ease that invisible weight. It doesn't mean you must solve their situation, you only need to extend kindness. The next time you sense loneliness in someone, resist brushing it off. Reach out with gentleness. Send a message, extend an invitation, or simply share a smile. The act might seem small to you, but to them it could feel like sunlight breaking through a very long night. 100. Make offers without expecting return. Have you ever given something, your time, your help, your resources, only to quietly hope for acknowledgement or repayment? It's natural, But true generosity is measured when you can make offers without expecting anything back. When you offer with no strings, your actions are lighter, freer, and more meaningful. Think about it. Offering to carry someone's groceries, lending a book, or helping a neighbor fix something. If gratitude comes, that's wonderful. If not, your gift still stands because the purpose wasn't recognition, it was kindness itself. Have you noticed how freeing it feels when you don't keep score? The relationship doesn't become transactional, and your own heart feels lighter because you're giving for the sake of giving. This doesn't mean you should let yourself be taken advantage of. It means choosing to give when you genuinely want to, not because you expect something in return. When generosity comes from a place of sincerity, it builds trust and warmth, whether or not anyone notices. And sometimes, those unseen seeds of kindness bloom much later in unexpected ways. The next time you feel prompted to offer help, don't hesitate. Say yes, not because you'll get anything back, but because it's part of who you want to be. You'll find that the reward is already built in. The satisfaction of living generously, of knowing that you've added light to someone's life without needing anything to shine back on you.